Are you all done talking about no problems? I'd like to call the Smithfield Town Council meeting to order, Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025. This is a regular meeting. There were no votes taken in executive session. The prayer, please. This evening, we ask for guidance as we engage in meaningful discussions and allow us to nurture the bonds of the community. Salute to the flag. Emergency exit and evacuation health notification.
In the event that the council chambers has to be evacuated, there's two exits. One to the very rear, go out that door, stairway is to the right, leads you to the front of the building. Second exit is to my right, you can see the sign over there, stairway up, and then you pass through a stairway down to the side of the building. In the event of emergency, please do not use the elevator. Ladies' room and men's room, immediately out the rear door of the council chambers. Men's room is to the right, ladies' room is 3 steps up on the left.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Presentation, we have one presentation today by Councilman Winfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. I come bearing gifts. You pass that down? Yep. John, that's yours.
That's mine?
That's yours.
Oh, give me that. That's mine. Mike,
John's.
thank you.
Then you're going to pass those to Rachel and Mike, please. So what you have is a nice sash. And of course, why do we need a sash? We have a parade. So we have our Christmas parade on Saturday. The weather looks great. It was a little iffy earlier in the week, but we want everybody to come out, enjoy themselves. It's a nice way to start the season. I tell everybody, you know, those Hallmark Christmas movies that we see on TBS and everything, well, we do that for one weekend right in the village. So we want you to all come out, but also we want you to also know that there's an awful lot of work that goes into it. And we talk about safety. We talk about safety a lot. And if we can't do it safe, we just don't do it. So anybody that comes out, we want you to know you will be safe. We want you to come out and enjoy yourselves. We have some new acts this year. We have some returning acts. We have some surprises. And we got the donut truck too. The donut truck will be in the village. So
This is what I need. I can't even button my pants now.
yeah, I know, like I need another donut. But also we have something to do prior to the parade if people want to gather in the village. We have story time. The National Honor Society kids put a lot of games and things to keep you occupied while we're waiting for the parade to come off. And as the chief has said, when we started our parade, it's you know, we make lifelong memories. So if you're in the village and when Santa comes, run out and see Santa and just watch the kids, because the kids, they're in awe when they see Santa, and that's why we do it. So hope you all join us. Parade kicks off 4:30 at the high school.
So, Councilman, if there is in fact bad weather, you will alert everyone?
we let everybody know. They can look on our Facebook page. They can look on the town website and the town Facebook page. Friday at noon, we'll make the call, but we're very optimistic that we're going to be able to get the parade in on Saturday. We're not going to talk about rain day. We're going to say it's going to be a fun time on Saturday. Come on out.
Very good. Any questions from the council?
Thank you.
Events before the parade kickoff.
The events in the village start at 3 p.m. So come on out.
Anyone else? I thought I heard somebody.
No, I just said thank you.
Okay,
You're very welcome.
thank you. And it's a lot of work. I mean, I got to give you a lot of credit.
There's,
People think it's easy. It's not easy trying to
you know,
put
but
everything
we have
together.
we have a great group, and they're passionate, along with my, you know, I get a lot of good help, and they're passionate, and it shows. And it's one of the nice events that we do. We do a lot of events, but this is probably one of the ones, the biggest ones we do. There's a lot of ground to cover.
Very good. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Item number 6, minutes, there are none. Item number 7, consider, discuss, act upon the following possible appointments and reappointments. There are none. Item number 8, public hearings. Conduct a public hearing to consider and discuss, act upon amendments to Article 4 entitled Use Regulations, Sections 4.3 and 4.4A4 entitled Animal Raising, Non-Commercial Outdoor, sponsored by Councilwoman Toppy. I will open up the public hearing. Anyone have any concerns, questions on the public hearing?
I have a presentation for you.
Can you state your name, please?
Gregory Girton, Director of Planning and Economic Development for the town of Smithfield.
Thank you.
I do need the projector.
I'm sorry.
All right. For the council's and the public's benefit, I thought I would just give a quick presentation and overview of the ordinance amendment and its purpose and what I perceive to be the benefits of the amendments made, or proposed rather. So the overall goals of the update were to modernize and consolidate some outdated standards, support small-scale non-commercial fowl keeping, protect neighbors from noise, odor, and roaming animals, strengthen some public healthy safeguards that were non-existent in the ordinance previously, improve enforceability through clear and objective tables, as you've seen in the proposed ordinance amendment, and to resolve some inconsistencies that were identified by the solicitor and the building and zoning official. Some of the key improvements were replacing an ambiguous word, bird, with fowl, and I added some definitions for fowl, rooster, and zoning lots. Clarified some dual authority between the zoning official and the animal control officer. It would require standards to apply per zoning lot, not per dwelling unit. It provided a specific definition of an acre and corrected some structure and numbering as well. One of the key tables in here that's different from the current ordinance is the maximum number of fowl by lot size. Currently, where they are allowed, it is 6 hens for every 2 acres. As you can see, it's broken down a little bit more specifically based on the lot size, which is far more context sensitive and appropriate. It also included some other fowl as well. It outlined a number of setbacks. So for hens, it's 15 feet from the property line, 25 feet to neighboring dwellings. There's a front yard setback from front and side property lines. Other fowl is in the range of 50 to 100 feet generally. Roosters, though, are different because they need a little bit more space from other dwellings, so 200 feet from any abutting dwelling if they're in a standard coop, or 100 feet if they're in a solid wall mechanically ventilated coop with an automatic door that opens and closes this at times. And these distances align with national guidance and peer municipal practice. Another thing that was added in was spacing requirements. This is for the health and well-being of all of the birds or fowl. So for hens, that looks like 4 square feet per hen for indoor, and 10 square feet within the run. And the size is adjusted per the needs of the various fowl species that were added to the ordinance. There's also some language in there for biosecurity and sanitation regarding weekly cleaning, spacing requirements for compost from abutting lot lines. Some other things that are put in here were the inclusion of rodent-proof feed storage, which wasn't in previously, and provisions for no roaming off of site. And these standards all mirror guidance from appropriate agencies. And so, why this matters for the general public and residents of Smithfield, I feel like this keeps with the longstanding tradition of agriculture in our community. It gives residents a clear and simple pathway to raise their own food, providing for themselves at a lower cost than they would get them otherwise. It provides flexibility for families, regardless of what's happening in the larger food chains. It encourages self-sufficiency, local responsibility, and keeps the overall scale of household size, avoiding commercial impacts while allowing residents to meet their own needs. And I just kind of wanted to get ahead of this because I know that this is something that concerns a lot of folks when you talk about chickens and other kinds of fowl, is rats. To be clear, rats in of themselves are not attracted, or rather, chickens in of themselves do not attract rats. It is the unsecured food, open trash, and unmanaged waste produced by chickens and poor chicken keeping routines and habits that attract rats. That is something that this ordinance directly addresses, which our previous ordinance did not. It didn't have any of those explicit standards for feed storage and waste handling. The revised ordinance adds stronger controls that directly target those rodent risks. So it improves upon rodent-proof sealed feed containers, which would now be required. Covered composting or weekly removal is mandatory. Minimum setbacks for that compost, provisions that preclude folks from allowing their fowl to roam at large, and it provides staff with enforceable outcomes rather than vague nuisance language. And these are all the source materials used in the development of that I also included in my staff memo on the matter. So, just to wrap it up, this ordinance amendment provides clear, objective tables, which is easier for review and enforcement, and aligns with CDC, USDA, and other agricultural extension recommendations. It's a good balanced approach between resident flexibility and neighborhood protection, and it incorporates feedback from other departments and our legal advisors. So before you is a recommendation. On October 16th, 2025, the Smithfield Planning Board reviewed and voted to forward a positive recommendation to the amendments as proposed. So the planning board recommends that the town council hereby adopt the amendments as proposed to Article 4 Use Regulations, Sections 4.3 and 4.4A-4 of the Smithfield zoning ordinance entitled Animal Raising, Non-Commercial Outdoor, and also one more recent change that I'm not sure if you have in your packets, was a very small tweak to Chapter 126-3 of the Code of Ordinances entitled Permitted Disposal of Dead Animals, and that was just to add fowl to that as well, because as of right now, it only stood for larger animals like goats and dogs and things of that nature, but it didn't include this. So to be all encompassing, I provided that amendment as well. Be happy to answer any questions or concerns or talk through any of the specifics of the amendment with you.
Thank you. Any questions of the
Yes,
planner?
so Greg, you're wrong on the rats. So the rats, yeah, unsecured food, we gotta secure it and everything, but they go for water, they go for shelter, and they can feed off chicken waste. So, yeah, you're wrong there. So I'm kind of
respectfully
looking, so
disagree.
maybe you can walk me through this, where we're talking about the food, their feed being a secure container, but we have human, that doesn't mean the kid's gonna go out because it's his time to feed the chickens and the lid is left off. So that's, we talk about that, but how about the coop itself? Where is that, where it's rodent proof? Where is that lined up here? Because I don't see that. We talked about the food source. I mean, we're getting there,
Missed that comment.
but you gotta, because they're not gonna call you when the,
Yeah, I can see that there's no specific language around rodent proofing the coop itself. That's an incredibly difficult task. My home isn't rodent proof. I'd be hard pressed to say a chicken coop be required to be rodent proof.
so that's the answer. We're not gonna try to do anything about it?
I'm not saying we shouldn't try, perhaps, but I'm just saying that's a difficult ask. I've raised chickens myself as well, so I'm speaking from direct experience. I never had a problem with rats with my chicken coops.
They're not gonna call you when the rats are in, because that's what's gonna happen, because we have a rat problem already in town. And it's all about people leaving food unsecured.
Well, that's why, that's more of an enforcement matter. And
Okay,
so this
so-
provides the enforcement officials with the appropriate language that's defensible.
Okay,
But I take your point, especially on perhaps the water, that's something that was overlooked and should be included as well.
yeah. Like I said, we're getting there, but, these are hard questions.
No, I appreciate the feedback. I think nonetheless, this is a good step in the right direction.
I'm sorry, I missed the comment. Did you have a specific suggestion, Councilman? I was talking to
No,
Councilman.
I was saying that it's wrong on the rats.
No, I heard that part, but I don't know if you had something, you said rodent-proof the house, is that what you said?
No, he said that. So he said his house isn't rodent-proof. So I said, oh, so we're not going to tackle this? Trying to rodent-proof your building, where you house your hens, or
Okay, I'm
your
just-
fowl.
Yeah, I'm just a little unclear, but I knew this would come up too, but, rats, as Greg said, as with any animal, they don't, chickens or dogs or whatever, they don't inherently attract rats. It can be a combination of things that we can't control, such as living in the woods or living near the water, like myself. I don't have rats, but, there's a lot of people who do in Smithfield already without this ordinance. And then the other reasons are for human action, right? People who maybe are hoarders, they might not be as responsible and keeping things clean and sanitary. And you're going to get those outliers in any population and anything like that. Bird feeders, you have all those types of issues already. So there are those people who are not as clean as some others maybe, or maybe not clean up. So that's not something, you really can control, but as our planner said that now we didn't have those provisions before. Now we can have more authority for the town to deal with those issues, because right now there's nothing.
Go ahead.
Director, I want to clarify, so what I'm hearing from you based on this presentation is that this ordinance is more restrictive than the ordinance that we currently have, in the sense that it has more requirements for people who own chickens to make sure they're clean and whatever. Is that accurate?
Yes, in that sense, yes.
Okay. So is there, and you said that the enforcement authority, who would the enforcement authority be? Is it still the animal control or police?
The zoning official,
Zoning
is
official and
section
enforces
10.
compliance
Okay.
with this portion, because it's in the zoning code, yes.
Do you know, and this might maybe be outside of your area, but do you know how those inspections come to be? Does it have to be reported for the zoning official to come out? Is there regular inspections on people that have coops?
Yeah, I did speak with Jacob at length, who's the building and zoning official, when drafting this, and had him review it, and he has no problem with it as it's written. But to answer your question, yes, he gets calls and responds to them within
Okay.
a specific time frame that he
Okay.
has to. And, yeah, I can't speak to the exact enforcement actions and the turnaround on anything like that. That's not my department, but.
Yeah. So if there's a
know it's dealt
violation
with.
of these provisions, it would have to be reported by somebody and then checked out, is kind of the process of that?
Correct.
Okay. Is the sanction schedule the same and adjudicated in the municipal court? Again, this might be outside, I don't know if Councilwoman, you know, if that's the
Counsel?
case?
Me? Okay. Yeah, it's section 10.6 of this ordinance. Violation is subject to penalties as provided in 10.6.
Okay, so but it didn't change?
Nope, they abide by all the other violations that are already currently in place. So we didn't have to add additional ones, kind of thing, so.
Are people who currently have chickens or chicken coops that no longer fall within these provisions, like the acreage provisions and stuff, are they grandfathered in? Or would they have to comply with the new?
If they have chicken coops that are compliant with the current ordinance, I think they technically would be still compliant, because they would be pre-existing non-conforming.
Okay,
But if they are currently non-compliant and they would still be non-compliant per these amendments, then they still are. But this might bring some non-compliant chicken owners that just have fallen under the radar into compliance as well.
I'm wondering, I'm concerned about, and like I see where you're coming from as to tightening up the restrictions and stuff with the chickens. I'm concerned about enforcement and existing chicken coops, and if these owners are going to know that these are now their requirements, and how are we going to know if a chicken coop is pre-existing and compliant or pre-existing and non-compliant? Like kind of the implementation of something like this is what I'm concerned about, and making sure that the restrictions that you work so hard on are actually being followed.
Well, this kind of speaks to the larger conversation about whether or not municipalities should be regulating chicken coops at this level generally. There's a lot of debate nationally, all throughout the country, on this subject as to whether or not they should be, because at the end of the day, it tends to be more of an issue between neighbors than it is anything else. And so if there's a compliance issue, there's a public health or nuisance issue around the subject matter, just like with any pet for that matter, the complaint would come and stem from an abutter who is noticing that there is an issue and is having issues that are, being thrust upon them by the mishandling of their fowl by their neighbor.
Are there a lot of complaints now?
My understanding, there are definitely some.
Some.
But again, they get reported appropriately and acted on by the building and zoning official.
If I could just jump in, I did ask for the complaint since 2022. So far, I mean, I asked for this, when was it? In October. So there's only been 2 in 2025, and that has to do with one of these issues would be remedied, and that they live on a lot that is less than 80,000 square feet, which is what is not allowed right now. And then actually, I did it from 2019. There's not really many. A lot have to do with roosters, which this ordinance prohibits roosters unless your lot is greater than 5 acres. And then the other one had to do with an egg stand. So, I mean, we're not seeing, these huge problems. So
I'm wondering why the change then, if the less restrictive rules are not really prompting a lot of complaints, why increase the obligations of homeowners further as
Well,
to chickens?
Well, right now, you can't own domestic chickens if you are on a lot that's less than 80,000 square feet. So I know there are at least there is one person or 2 people out there who live in Smithfield who want this. And I just want to be clear, this is not going to be a free-for-all. You have to, aside from R200 and R80, you would have to apply for a special use permit. So it's not like you can just do it. I mean, they're going to do it anyway if they want to, but, they would have to go through that process, and the neighbors would be notified and go to a public hearing and all that. So it's not just like I said, a free-for-all.
Yeah, and just to be clear on the restrictive comment, it's restrictive in the sense that it applies more public health and animal welfare standards that are appropriate and can be verified through the USDA and CDC and agencies like those. But it's slightly more, it provides for a little bit more allowance in terms of, as Ms. Toppy just said, in terms of lot size, and adds special use permit to an additional zone as opposed to not permitted. So it's slightly expansive in that regard, and it imposes new regulations around public health and safety
Yeah.
of animals,
I
which,
I think that's where I'm getting bogged down with this ordinance, because there are some parts of it that are more restrictive to a homeowner, some parts that are less, like it's a little bit, the changes are very vast within the ordinance. And I think, for me, the purpose seems to be conflicting a little bit.
Can you explain?
That we're increasing freedoms in some aspects and decreasing freedoms in others to homeowners.
Well, if you increase the ability for people to do a previously restricted activity, you want to make sure that you're able to account for, protecting property values and public health and nuisances. And so in order to do one thing, you must have the other, if that makes sense. And I will, there is a bill in the House that is my understanding that will be presented again by Rep. Solomon for the right to farm. This is all about chickens, and it allows municipalities or people to have them, essentially. So it would be good to get ahead of this and craft it in a way that works for Smithfield ahead of time, for when it does get passed.
And my only other question, Mr. President, sorry, is the special use permit for the R20s, mediums zones, that's like high-density condo zoning, correct? Or
not specifically.
but it
I mean,
could
other uses exist within that zone.
I just think about,
Residential
like in a
uses.
condo setting, these could be potentially allowed, correct? Because my understanding of R20M is like higher density.
Not without the specific, I mean, the owner would have to be the one who signs off on that application for a special use permit
Right, so like I live in a condo, for example, we're attached. There's one building, there's 4 units like within that building. If somebody in unit B wanted to get a chicken, applied for their special use permit, they would be eligible under this ordinance to do so, even though they're attached to my house?
No, because the lot is considered, it's not, I don't know what the proper wording is for it, but it's the lot size, not how many units are on the lot.
No, exactly. So
Yeah.
my lot size is over an acre. There's 4, like I have over an acre. Not me personally, right? But my
Right.
condo, like you live in condos,
I
correct?
do, and it would have to go through the association. There's no chance that I could, that's just, and I'm sure it's the same with you, you have an HOA or whatever. You have to go
But you
before the
could-
board.
But I'm saying you could, we have 4 people in my condo. We don't have like, I think your HOA is a little, probably yours too, more
Yeah, it's bigger, yeah.
rule oriented. Mine is not. So like based on the way this ordinance is written, somebody could have a chicken coop on our condo. If there was approvals in place, but the ordinance allows that.
I
Is
mean,
that right?
technically, but, you'd have to
No.
get the approval, no? You'd
Not
have
by
to.
It's
right,
not
it
technically,
would
like I
be-
think it's R20 medium.
No,
That's what
it's-
I'm zoned. I
It's
have an acre.
technically, because you'd have to get, to be a good neighbor, you get you wouldn't just do it when you have attached neighbors. You would probably talk to them or get their approval. Again, they'd be notified, so what's the chance that you or I or the council president would ever have chickens in our condos? Zero chance. So, so the point is, like, if there's 2 structures, one structure with 2 units, like, in that case, maybe somebody wanted, it was just to give more flexibility. I'm not hard on that.
No, I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just trying to clarify like what that means, because I think
Yeah.
in operation, that could be a potential positioning of chickens. And I don't think, not everybody's, to draft an ordinance saying, hopefully they'll be a good neighbor. I like that idea, but that's not always the case. So I just want to make sure we're protecting also people who don't want chickens.
Yeah, the whole point is, the abutters will be notified and, in an association like mine, it would have to go through the board. And I'm not doing this for me. I have no interest in this.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah, but just so you know, it was just to add a little more flexibility for maybe a smaller double, triple unit if there's certain instances. Am I
But ag-
right in that a little bit?
Yes, but it would also have to receive a special use permit. And again, as you pointed out, all of the abutters would be notified within a 200-foot radius and be able to come and speak in opposition or in favor of that approval. And if all the neighbors don't care, then why should the town?
Exactly. That's really the point.
Would the condo bylaws come into play here?
Yes.
If it was,
Yes.
yeah, I imagine so. That's, I imagine, site-specific for every condo association.
Or like multifamilies, like in general, that like aren't HOA'd. Like I think of like a 2-unit that's attached, or like a 3-floor unit, like 3-floor building that has 3 separate units in it. I don't know, like I'm just kind of brainstorming here, like the potential implications of this, like having chickens like forced upon like a tenant or something.
Well, if it's a rent or a lease, the owner would have to be part of the application for the special use permit. And it is per lot, all of these rules and requirements. So it's not like if there was a 4-unit condo, as an example, on one lot or something like that, they wouldn't be able to have 4 separate coops.
No, yeah, I
all within-
understand
Yeah,
that.
just to clarify. I'm
Yeah.
not saying whether or not you didn't understand it, just to clarify. So there would be that aspect, as well as still having to go through that chain of approvals. If there is an HOA or anything that is regulatory, that's site-specific, it has to pass muster there. And then also, as a special use permit, it would go before the zoning board, and all of the abutters would be notified and have a chance to give their grievances if they have them. And if they don't, then, again, that's where it kind of comes into why should, it begs the question, at the very least, why should we regulate that more harshly than that if the neighbors don't have a problem with it?
Yeah, I'm not saying like that should be the case. I just,
No, I didn't mean
yeah.
to- I hope I didn't sound to imply that. I'm just saying, like, that's a question we should kind of ask ourselves if we feel inclined to think that way.
It's a good question.
I'm just like a lot of the times we create ordinances, and this is kind of in general, but in application, they end up having some kinks, and then we have to come back and whatever. So I just want to make sure that, because there's a lot of changes here, that like if we play out the scenarios as to the potential outcomes, that it's not going to be creating like more issues. Because it sounds like we don't really have an issue now as drafted. You know what I'm saying?
There
That's
are
kind of where I'm
some
at.
issues, I totally understand what you're saying. The issue is that a lot of people can't have them, right? So like I said, to allow for more flexibility, you have to put those safeguards in place to give the town the ability to enforce, and also to give people standards to abide by, you know, when they go before the zoning board for a special use permit. I know there was a lot of, I mean, this ordinance is so well done, and I think our planner really set the bar in terms of, you know, how it's written, the research that's gone into this, and this is based on best practices, is evidence-based data here. So, you know, I think we should, you know, give it a chance, and I think it's going to do a lot of good, and it's going to be a lot of benefit. I don't think everyone's going to want chickens after this. I mean, I know of one person who would take advantage of this, and that doesn't even mean they're going to get it in front of the zoning board. They could get denied. You know, it's
I
not.
would like chickens. I like chickens. I think that's great, whatever. If the fact that I'm allowed to get chickens at my living situation, like I think is inappropriate for my neighbors. So like, that's what I don't like is the potential implications like on others.
Well, you're not allowed until you get approval from the zoning board. So you can't just put them there.
And the zoning board does take abutters'
Right.
concerns very seriously.
They have, and they have denied two recently, so, because of neighbors and whatnot, so, well, other reasons too, but, and this was in a single-family home. Go ahead.
Well, I have a safeguard. Why don't we put a sunset? And the sunset is, we put a date after you let it go a year or 2 years. And if you don't revisit it, it goes away.
What do you mean by
We do that
revisit?
at the State House all the time.
What do you mean by revisit it? To do what?
You would put a date in it. So you would say, all right, we're going to pass this December 2nd. In December 2nd of 2026, you have to come back and revisit it. If there's no problems, or if there are problems, you address them.
Have we done that with any ordinances in town? I would just be concerned with people in making the investment, whether it's one person or 10 people, making the investment for a coop or whatever it is, and then all of a sudden,
Well,
we
if it's
change it and then
working
they tear it
smoothly,
down.
it's not a big deal.
Well, it'd be a pre-existing use also, like they would be able to keep it. Like the people that have it now that are non-conforming.
So the concern is what exactly?
There's no concern. The concern is if everything is perfect and it works as you say, whatever the date we put, you take it up and you say, it's been working, we're going to remove the sunset, and you move on.
You mean as like a discussion item?
Yeah. But you also, if there's something that has been happening that is not good, you can then address it, because it's forced, you're forced to address it.
You mean to amend the ordinance in whatever way that might be?
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. I don't know, I'm necessarily opposed to that.
Well, I'm just putting
It's
it out
it's a
there.
suggestion, yeah. I just don't know how this would be different from any other really thing that we do. Yeah, I mean, it's good to review things, I don't see why not, but the bottom line is we're dealing with humans, and humans are not perfect. So,
And there lies the problem.
I just have one question. We've been spending a lot of money on, what's the title? Pest control. And that's a lot of money. because of the rat issue. I'm concerned, I don't know if there's enough teeth in it in order to eradicate the rat issue. I would like to address Councilman Winfield's issue, Councilwoman's issue, to leave the public hearing open and have a conversation with the pest control folks. Let them take a look at it. Maybe they have an idea, maybe they don't. At least give them the opportunity to take a look at it. And then bring it back for conversations in January.
What are you suggesting that they look at?
The whole ordinance.
Pest control people?
Yeah.
So if we have rats in Esmond now, what are we doing about it? And what's the cause?
We're hiring a pest control.
But okay, so have they been eradicated and what's the cause currently?
We're at about $1,500 right now, and it's still out there. And a lot of residents put money into it as well.
Again, what's the cause of the rats in Esmond?
We've spent $1,500 so far.
No, what's the cause?
Oh, the cause?
Yeah.
There's various causes.
Such as?
Untidy yards, there is some foul in the area, people feeding animals, so we've been having a zoning officer go out, and when we find these properties, to try to correct them.
I'm not against it at all. I just like to have another set of eyes take a look at it, the guy that's dealing with this rat problem. And I know Councilman Winfield had an issue that you may be able to tidy up some wording in there. Just give you the opportunity to do that.
I'm sorry.
Mr. President, are you saying to like maybe add something that the pest control people might suggest would help make it,
Well, I mean,
like the rats a non-issue with?
listen, we're not in the pest control business. I mean, if we're spending thousands of dollars to eradicate rats, and if we pass this ordinance and it makes it worse, maybe he or she, I don't even know who it is, has a suggestion, maybe you want to put this language in there or that language in there. I don't know. It's just a suggestion. Like he had the suggestion about putting a time frame in. Just a suggestion.
If I were a contractor or a pest control person, I would say, allow rats. That way, they're going to come. If people think they're going to come, so I can make money to eradicate them. I mean, what are they going to do with this ordinance? Seriously. What are they, do you think they want to prevent it and not potentially have them make money? Yeah, seriously.
It's not funny.
I mean, it sort of is, because I don't know what they will contribute to this. I mean, I appreciate the suggestion, that's how I look at it, as, they're in it to make money, not help us.
So right now we have feed shall be stored in rodent-proof containers and some other restrictions here. So you'd think that there might be some other things that could be added to this that could be suggested?
We're talking about where the feed is. I
Right,
was talking about the hen house.
right,
That's different. So try to make that rodent-proof.
right.
Actually, I take that back. I see where you're going with this. It could go either way, but I still stand by what I said, but I can see how it might help.
Are you okay with leaving it open? To have the planner take another look?
The planner take another look
Yeah.
Well,
for him to do?
I'm sure that you can talk with the,
Have a conversation with the pest control guy.
Who's the pest
I
control
mean,
guy?
obviously, we're
I take your point, and I fully appreciate your comments around pest control. I would feel more comfortable deferring to farmers, people who grow chickens, raise chickens for a living, and ascertain how especially when they're dealing with far larger numbers of fowl, and it's a threat to their
I
business.
just brought that up, but you can talk.
Yeah, no, I know, and I
mean,
appreciate it, but
Whoever's got good ideas, I mean, obviously, we want to make the best ordinance that we can, rather than pass something, and then we got all sorts of problems with it.
yeah, all the same, yes, and I would just also say that as we know, the zoning ordinance isn't a static document. It's a living document, something that changes all the time. So I can also understand Councilman Winfield's point around seeing how it goes over time and changing if necessary. I still feel that as written currently, it's a good step in a better direction.
Yeah.
It's definitely not perfect. Very few ordinances
Nothing's
are.
perfect.
Nothing is perfect, exactly. But, I mean, I fully believe that this is a good step in the right direction. Are there improvements that can be made? Absolutely. There's always improvements. I mean, just even, I was just thinking about the water in particular, as well as the housing. I know of a couple of different very brief and concise ways of addressing that I could add into this later on. I'd be happy to do so at any point in time.
I would be in favor of keeping the public hearing open and maybe just exploring some other language and seeing if we can
What do you want to do?
kind of solidify, but
If that's what you guys want to do, but just remember, we're dealing with people, right? We can legislate all we want, people are going to be people. So I'll leave it with that.
If we keep the public hearing open, and we still hear from members of the public that are here this evening, so they don't have to come back if they have any comments to make.
I don't think there's
Yeah.
a problem there.
Then we'll have a motion to continue the
Right.
public hearing to a
Right.
date certain.
Right.
Thank you.
Any more questions for me?
Thank you, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. David Ursillo, Assistant Solicitor to the town. I handle planning and zoning. Just wanted to add a few comments to this because I've been involved on the periphery also looking at this to address some concerns. One, I think updating this ordinance is important. The ordinance in place now regarding animal raising is very vague, and having a little more understanding and guidance going forward is important because you're not going to get less people in this town that want these type of things. You're going to get more. So updating your ordinance generally is important. I mean, we have the ordinance read as bird. It didn't even say fowl or chicken. So there's a lot in this ordinance that's important that it needs to be contemplated to be updated. I do like council members' decision on a sunset provision. I think it's worth looking at it again in a year or giving it 2 years because it will, as Greg said, it's a living document. We're going to see a little bit more in how that works. So those, both ends of it are very important for this board or this council to adopt this ordinance and keep both those things in mind. I wanted to also address Councilwoman Bovis's claims about enforcement or questions on enforcement. So first, this is going on regardless of whether you change this ordinance. So there's already issues whether people are in multifamily and have chickens, or whether they're in an R20 and have a chicken. So there's already issues ongoing if they exist. They may not be complaint to the town, but there's something going on. The rat problem I'm hearing about now too. Right now, the concern you had also was grandfathered in. Anybody that's been in an R-Med, medium, an R20 or an R20M, either needed a special use permit in the first place to have chickens, or they shouldn't even had them in the first place. So all those people in the smaller lots aren't grandfathered into anything. They're in violation. So having this ordinance come into play now gives the zoning official more ability to go forward and say, you need to come to the town and here are the parameters that you need. Because you're dealing with lots now that are not 80,000 square feet. You're dealing with some that are 20,000. In Esmond, you got some that are 10,000. We see it all the time before the zoning board with smaller lots. Having the updated ordinance becomes restrictive because you're adding more parameters, but you're doing so because you're in zones with properties that are smaller with people that still want these animals. So there will, and then to the enforcement question, what will happen is the zoning official can go out and issue a warning or a notice of violation, and they'll have so many days to clean it up. And if they don't, they can, at that point, we work on a summons to summons them to municipal court. Depending on the level of the health and safety, usually at municipal court, I'll try to push for a quicker response or a quicker ability to get orders in effect to maybe get those things out of there. But again, people spend money on their coops. We don't want orders immediately having people withdraw their solid coops that they have. So there's always a balance on the enforcement side, but that's the procedure that we would take going forward to address your restrictions, but yet at the same time enforcing what needs to be done. In terms of the people in the R80s or the R200s, yes, they're grandfathered in a set in a way, but also a lot of those lots might be on at least 2-acre lots if they truly were an R80 zone. That's why it's been changed, I believe, by acreage instead of R80. Because we have lots in this town that are zoned R80 and they're only 40,000 square feet. So by changing this ordinance and having those things in effect that talk about 80,000 square feet, it becomes much more important for people to understand exactly the size of their property and what's required based on the size. And that's how those things will come into effect. We can't control everybody in an R80 or an R200 that may be on a 40,000 square lot right now. But we don't control it anyways, because people are doing these things in the first place. So updating the ordinance is a good thing, and it's up to the council how you want to proceed with it, but I really think it's something that as a council, adopting is going to be beneficial as you move forward with these items. In terms of condos, if they are in a R20M, you can always change it and say no in that area if that's something that you're really concerned with. But at the same time, the concept is this agricultural is where you're taking it places usually in your residential zones. That's up to you. I'm not going to say which zones, yes or no, but to concerns to the condo side, you got all these other housing projects coming down for comprehensive permits. So it's going to be contemplated there because you're going to have a lot of people living in small areas. So you have to have that consideration. But I do think by keeping it as a special use permit, you have your zoning board in place to hear all those specials, as you know, Ms. Bovis, because you do it in North Providence too. But you have your zoning board in place to hear those special use applications. And if they come in and it's in a 4-person condo, it's not going to happen, most likely, because too many people are going to complain having chickens that close with that building next to each other. So with that, I think it's an amendment that an ordinance you should adopt or amend to your ordinance. I'll leave it to you how you want to do it, but you should go forward and do it at some point. And great idea with the sunset.
Any
Thank you.
questions of David? Hearing none. Anyone else?
Michael Moen, 18 Maple Crest Drive. On your planning board, although I'm here to speak as a private citizen, I was the lone negative vote for this on my planning board and had some concerns. However, tonight I'm here to speak in favor of the ordinance because of what we've all recently gone through over the past few years with the price of food. I'm here to speak in favor of anything this town can do to reduce future food insecurity. I'm here to speak for the increased ability of our citizens to conduct domestic animal husbandry, even though that's kind of a weird sounding phrase. It's true. The raising of chickens and domestic fowl for human consumption is certainly adds to the ability to feed their families and themselves in times of food price rises and insecurity, along with domestic and residential gardening and raising of vegetables. The ability to raise protein is also important. The reason I voted against this on my board was my personal concern on the smaller lots. Now, I haven't visited every neighborhood in every town, every lot in town, although probably neighborhoods. I live in an R20 district, and I actually have just about an acre of property, acre of land in my R20 district. I could put this in if I wanted to, but of course, personally, I'm not have the ability to do that myself. I don't think everybody will. However, I believe there probably will be an increasing demand for such an action. So it was just my concern in the smaller lots, and particularly putting them in front yards. Many of the subdivisions and lots we've approved over the past 26 years, we're not creating farming neighborhoods, in my view. However, there's a possibility they may exist in the future. And I just wanted the council to take another look at that, on this action on the smaller lots, and particularly in front yards. Also, there was a concern of mine on enforceability, and this is from a staffing point of view. I know our planning department is small. I don't know about our zoning and animal control. I don't know how much they're stressed, but I certainly would want that to be taken into consideration. And the other thing is, we've been charged as a planning board and a planning department to look at updating our zoning by adopting objective enforceable standards. So this is kind of like what this does, and he did a remarkable job with this and the research in reconditioning this ordinance to meet the standards that we now have to follow. So in conclusion, I think this is a fine ordinance, and it just may need a little bit more work. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? So what I'd like to do is leave the public hearing open and address some of the issues and bring it back in January. And I'll entertain a motion for that.
Okay.
Motion to continue to a date certain.
Right.
Are you gonna have it?
Yeah, the
What's
date
the
certain will be January 6th.
January 6th.
I was waiting for the discussion. I didn't hear a second.
Oh, I'll make that motion to continue to January
okay.
6th.
Go ahead.
I forgot what I was just going to say. I just would like to know, and I'm sure our planner would like to know, exactly the issue. I know we discussed it, but have the issues exactly on the table so we can be prepared to deal with them and present something that hopefully would be acceptable. So we don't have to continue.
I can call the planner with my concerns. If that's, and do you want me to go through you, you want me to?
I mean, you're welcome to,
He said I can call him.
I mean, we can't direct anyone to do anything, but I mean, if we want to circulate, how.
No, I think David did a great job explaining it,
You did.
and I want to thank you for that, David. Just a couple more tweaks, and it should be ready to go in January. So we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item B, conduct a public hearing, discuss or act upon approving renewal intoxication beverage license listed as applies, subject to compliance with all state regulations and ordinances, and certified in good standings around the Division of Taxation. Class B would be brewology, and Class B particular limited beverages as listed. I'll entertain a motion. I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item number 9, licenses. Consider, discuss, the act upon approving renewal of one entertainment license as applied, subject to compliance with all state regulations and local ordinances. And it would be, number 1 would be brewology. I'll entertain a motion. Do I have a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Item B, consider discuss or act upon approving renewal one-day special dance license as applied, subject to compliance with all state regulations and ordinances. All right. Wait. I gotta go back as listed for a minute. But I want to do item B, approval of dance licenses and ordinances. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. You need to conduct a public hearing, consider, discuss, act upon approving renewal of following 8 licenses, include renewal and extension hours, operation as listed and applied, subject to compliance. I'll open up the public hearing. As listed. I'm going to close the public hearing. Want to move as listed.
Motion to approve.
I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it.
See.
C, consider discuss act upon approving renewal of 6 particular only licenses as listed and applied, subject to compliance with all state regulations and local ordinances as listed. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Item 10, consider discuss act upon adopting a resolution for Smithfield Safe Streets, Roads, and All Safety Action Plan. Item A. I'll entertain a motion. Do I have a second?
Mr. President, I think.
Hang on one second. Give me a second.
Second.
Would you like to speak on it?
I have another presentation if you'd like.
You want Stevie again?
Throw it up there. Why wreck a good time, right?
Yeah, from last time.
Forgive me if my voice sounds awfully harsh. I've been fighting off a cold for the last 2.5 weeks. It's miserable. So yeah, I wanted to take a few minutes to present on the Safe Streets and Roads for All Safety Action Plan. This plan builds on a statewide effort led by RIPTA and RIDOT to reduce fatal and serious injury crashes throughout the state, and it gives our town a data-driven, community-informed roadmap for making our streets safer for everyone, regardless of your mode of transportation. So what is the Safe Streets and Roads for All program? It's a federal initiative through the US DOT that focuses on eliminating fatal and serious injuries through what's called a safe system approach. RIPTA received a statewide grant in 2022 on behalf of 31 municipalities, which included Smithfield. The adoption of the Safety Action Plan makes the town eligible to apply for future Safe Streets and Roads for All action funding, both for additional planning and for implementation of specific projects identified in the plan. So this plan follows the US DOT framework for safety action plans. It includes 8 components, from leadership and goal setting through data analysis, engagement, project selection to project tracking, and transparency. Each of these elements helps ensure that the safety improvements are not just one-time projects, but a part of a continuous process of evaluation and accountability. Just to go over some of the safety trends here in town. Between 2019 and 23, there were 3,725 reported crashes in our town. 48 of those resulted in a fatality or serious injury, including 12 fatal crashes. Although crashes involving pedestrians and cyclists account for only about 1% of total crashes, they make up nearly 20% of fatal or serious injury crashes. And this confirms that people walking or riding bicycles remain disproportionately vulnerable on Smithfield roads. And so here is just a heat map of crashes reported in the plan's timeframe. On the left are locations where a fatal or serious injury crash occurred in that timeframe, and on the right are locations where someone walking or biking was injured in that timeframe. And I'll just note, so I think it's important to note that this report, all of the data ended in '23, but in 2024, we had 2 fatal bicycle accidents or crashes, I'll call them crashes as opposed to accidents, on Pleasant View Avenue that were not accounted for initially in the report, but were included after I reviewed it and made the recommendation. So it's not in the data, but it is referenced in the report and noted because I felt that was important to acknowledge the loss of those lives. So just to go over what a high injury network is and what it means for us and what the tool is that was used to develop all this. A high injury network, or HIN, is a tool used to identify the roadways or intersections where the most severe and fatal crashes occur. These corridors account for a disproportionately high number of crashes compared to the rest of the transportation network. By focusing on this network, we can prioritize safety improvements in the areas where they will have the greatest impact. So as far as the methodology for identifying and analyzing high injury networks is concerned, the folks who put together this study combined 2 key analytical approaches that look at both all modes of transportation and specifically those more vulnerable road user modes. So they employed a sliding window analysis, which helped them identify roads with immediate acute safety needs that require immediate attention. And second, they conducted a risk-based analysis, which is crucial for filling in any gaps and identifying locations that may have been hidden or have latent risks that aren't immediately apparent in the crash data. And so when you apply those analyses, you get 4 distinct types of results, including reactive segments. And reactive segments are those showing up on the baseline crash analysis map based on the top 15% of crash scores. Proactive segments are those appearing in the top risk tiers based on risk analysis. And some segments fall into both categories. Those are called reactive and proactive segments as they satisfy both sets of criteria. And finally, we have segments that don't meet either reactive or proactive thresholds, and those are categorized as none, though they still remain part of the overall network for monitoring. This methodology ensures that we're not just reacting to past incidents, but also working to prevent future ones through proactive identification of high-risk areas. So community and stakeholder input played an important role in shaping the plan. Engagement included 5 in-person pop-up events at public locations throughout town, along with an online survey that received over 20 responses from Smithfield residents. You should note that the survey wasn't town-specific, it was a statewide survey, but Smithfield residents participated in it. Feedback highlighted many of the same themes that we hear often locally: concerns about speeding, unsafe crossing, and the need for better pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure. The main themes that emerged through that engagement were incomplete or deteriorating sidewalks, excessive speeds and distracted driving, lack of safe pedestrian crossings and safety concerns near schools and parks. Many comments also focused on state roads, especially Putnam Pike, Pleasant View Ave, Douglas Pike, Knoll County Road, where the majority of serious crashes occur. So based on the data and engagement findings, the plan identifies 15 project locations for potential safety improvements. These range from smaller local roads like Church Street, Old Ford Road, and Ridge Road to major state roads such as Putnam Pike, Pleasant View Ave, and Douglas Pike. These recommendations vary by corridor and include intersection studies, reflective signage, speed management, sidewalk upgrades, crosswalk enhancements, and access management. Many of these projects will require coordination with RIDOT since most of the corridors are under state jurisdiction. And I'll note that RIDOT reviewed and approved this plan as well, so this could very well be a good tool to use to get RIDOT to collaborate on these improvements to be made. The plan also includes townwide strategies that don't require large construction projects. Examples include installing reflective markings and signs around curves, improving lighting, reviewing signal timing to better accommodate pedestrians, and incorporating safety priorities into the town's capital improvement planning. There are also policy recommendations to improve coordination between departments and with the state to explore school-related traffic management improvements. So before you is the consideration for adoption of the plan through a formal resolution. Adoption does not obligate the town to implement every recommendation listed in the plan, but it demonstrates the town's commitment to reducing fatalities and serious injuries. It also allows the town to pursue federal funding for implementation grants and additional studies. And the resolution sets a long-term goal of reducing fatal and serious injury crashes by 50% by 2035 and achieving 0 fatalities by 2045. The plan includes metrics for tracking progress over time, such as roadway miles improved, safety-related studies completed, and upgrades to pedestrian bicycle facilities. And by adopting this plan, Smithfield will also commit to reviewing that data periodically and publicly reporting progress towards those goals. So in short, the adoption provides several benefits. It makes Smithfield eligible for that funding, federal funding. It aligns with the town's comprehensive plan and with RIDOT strategic highway safety plans and other Vision Zero goals, and it reflects the town's proactive approach to addressing safety concerns raised by our residents and supported by data. And it gives us a roadmap for advocating improvements both locally and on state roads. I'd be happy to speak to any comments or concerns that you have with any of the items. I have a decent background in transportation planning as well, so I might be able to say some things with some amount of specificity.
Mr. President, I just have a quick question. On the second page of your memo, Director, you had 12 fatalities. Is that the updated number, or is that,
As in
is
the
12
ones-
the correct, or is it 14? Because I know you said the 2 wasn't included.
That would just be what came out of the data.
Okay, so-
Through 23.
Okay, I just wanted to make
So,
sure.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
know
been
you
a
got
little
it,
bit
like,
since I
later.
wrote the memo,
No,
so
I just
forgive me
wanted
if
to-
I'm incorrect on that.
It's okay, I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
No problem.
Director Gertin, I had just 2 things, and I did speak with you about this before, so I just want to reconfirm that this resolution does not commit the town to do things a certain way.
It does not.
Correct? Yes, okay. And, Mr. President, was there a motion made already? I believe there was, right?
I
Oh, there
made a
wasn't?
motion, and I believe Councilman Winfield seconded.
So there is, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And second, you're right, I'm sorry.
So I would just ask that my biggest, I mean, this is obvious, right? We have a problem, and we didn't need this, but, we have it, and that's fine. We need to deal with it. So my issue is with the Vision Zero in this resolution. If you Google it, I mean, we have no documentation. What does that mean? I mean, if you look it up, it means 0 car accidents. That's the goal, right? There's a website, Vision Zero Network. It's this larger, very vague organization. There's nothing from the state. What concerns me is that committing to Vision Zero, how do you get to 0 accidents? You can't when you have cars. We would love it, but it's not possible when you have cars. So the only way to not have any accidents is to not have cars. It's pretty common sense. So I would ask that because of this vagueness, that we take out 3 sections in this resolution. not completely, two completely, and one just where the vision talks about Vision Zero. I just don't think, just my opinion, we should be committing to such a vague vague thing that we don't really know what it is.
The town manager just said that if we do that, that may ruin the funding.
Well, do we know that for a fact?
Well, I would think, where did the resolution come from? This was the one recommended by the Safe Streets to study?
Yeah, and myself and the solicitor modified it slightly, but yes, it was
essentially, it was
relatively
a-
templatized,
Yeah, so I think
passed by many other communities. throughout the
there's
state.
the potential, and I say that only because they're trying to line everybody up, so all the communities, if we put it all together, they get all this data, they can go after stuff. And if our community doesn't, and note it says, the statewide zero efforts, you're right, there'll never be zero fatalities, it's impossible. But it's a goal. So I would be just nervous about whether it affects our participation and potential funding if we don't agree to do that.
Would it be possible to just get a definite answer on that and just hold off on this and then, because if we can take it out and not commit to that, I don't know how anyone else feels about it. I did the research on it and it's just, I'm not in favor of that part of it.
Greg, do you know what it actually is? What is Vision Zero, what it means? It
Zero
sounds
deaths.
like some kind of program or something.
It is not any kind of a program. It is a goal of eliminating fatalities.
It's zero fatal accidents, it's not zero
Not
accidents
zero
total.
accident, just fatal.
Like, that's
Yeah,
realistic.
fender benders, you can't,
That's-
you know,
I think
those
that-
kind
I
of
think-
things,
yeah.
it's fatalities.
The councilwoman was making a point, like, if you have cars, you have accidents. I don't think that's the point of of this resolution. It's to prevent unsafe, like, deaths, serious accidents. That's what a lot of the data is about, not just like crashes in general.
What I'm saying is this resolution commits us to Vision Zero, which is a thing that is big organization that there's no state documentation on this. It's some random, global kind of thing that I do what you want with it, but I don't think we should be signing on to this because I just look into the future and I see different things that I don't know that any of us would agree with in terms of methodology.
Respectfully, Councilwoman, I understand your concern. If this were tying us to a particular organization, I would ever more so appreciate and maybe agree. However, though some organizations might use the terminology, it is not their philosophy. They don't own that phrase, Vision Zero. Vision Zero is like a belief in an end goal, and a noble one at that, in my view. But it is not, by saying that you're committing to Vision Zero, you're not committing to the philosophy of a particular organization, entity, or otherwise. You're just simply stating, we are committing to the idea that we are working towards eliminating traffic fatalities in town.
And
So I
it's just
understand.
efforts. It says efforts.
Yeah, we're committing to working towards that goal of eliminating fatalities. That is all that means. I can
Can we-
understand when you look up online and you see the Vision Zero network and things like that, that it can seem like they're conflated.
Well, they are because this resolution is on their website. So can I just make a suggestion to change Vision Zero towards zero fatalities? It would get rid of the organization part. I mean, if nobody thinks it's, this is just, there's nothing in the packet about it.
Any other questions?
Yes. Now, adoption doesn't commit us to specific projects for the town, but does adoption signify support for specific proposals in here made by the state to do on state roads?
I'm not sure that I fully follow.
For example, let's say the state wants to put a roundabout on Pleasant View Avenue, which I think is in here, a roundabout on where Log and Pleasant View. Does this signify that we support that, or is it just, just a thought?
It says
put in there?
potential recommendations.
Right.
Doesn't say, so it says potential. And even then, when you look at it, it says conduct intersection study that considers an option. So
Right.
there's no hard things. It's just,
What page is that, Councilman?
well, if you look on page 7 to 6, it starts talking about project locations on local streets. But most of the local streets are in conjunction with their state roads. So Putnam Pike, so they also have Old Ford Road, Ridge Road, which are two of us, but Austin Avenue, which is could be either way, but then it's back to Putnam Pike. And you go through all these, and you're up to page 710, still all, up to page 11, they're all state roads. But again, potential recommendations. Now, they're talking about key issues, like, all right, Old Ford Road, it's a winding rural road, limited visibility around curves, no sidewalks, no streetlights. Okay, yeah. So they're saying, let's do preventive signage, markings, deflectors, trim vegetation. Well, we do that. Conduct engineering, though, and there's one of the things, conduct an engineering study to consider. Well, I don't have a problem doing that to change that wording, but I would kind of say, that's kind of the big picture. They want to just have a consolidated effort to have safer and
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that there is town input on, anything the state wants to do.
Yeah,
They don't just start doing things.
Yeah, this
that
doesn't
may not be appropriate.
preclude us from any of our pre-existing rights for input. So, the planning department, DPW, town engineer, whenever these projects come up, things end up, excuse me, before us for review, where we're already allowed to review and we are allowed to have input, and we would still retain that ability. So nothing in this is mandated. It's all viewed as a guide, both for us and the state, which is honestly surprising to me, because given how the state has developed most of the roads in our town, this is drastically different from how they have shown us to develop roads in the very unsafe ways that they've been developed since RIDA has existed.
Solicitor Galone, is there anything that we could just add to this, like super quick, that would not tie us to anything specific, that would give us more flexibility? Because Tim, I'm reading it differently, so. And I'm not saying I don't believe the planner, but that's just not how I'm interpreting it.
So right now, there's a motion and a second. If you wanted to amend,
What do
the
you
motion
have?
was on the
Do you have a
floor.
recommendation of like maybe language or
Other
something?
than deleting the language or altering the language to say 0 fatalities, the goal of remove Vision Zero. But then,
But then you're going to be out of sync with the other communities, and we're going to get flagged. Well, why aren't they want to do what the others want to do?
right.
Because it's a concept, and it is a private organization, it's not a federal organization.
Correct.
But I think this was probably well drafted to get everything unified and in, so we can show that we got the commitment to work towards these things and get that funding. And I'd just be very cautious about changing something that isn't uniformly done amongst all 31 communities.
Thank you. The motion on the floor, the seconded. Can we have a roll call vote pass as is?
Member Winfield,
yes.
Member Toppy,
Abstain.
Member Ryanati,
Aye.
Vice President Bonas.
Aye. Motion passes 4-4, one abstention, correct?
Yep.
Next item on the agenda. Thank you, Director. Consider the act upon authorizing extension to purchase and sales agreement with Gemini Housing Corporation for the purchase of William Windsor Elementary School located at 562 Putnam Pike, AP 6, Lot 49.
Good evening, council members. My name is Cherise Miller. I wanted to introduce myself. I am the newest executive director at the Smithfield Housing Authority. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you this evening. We're here tonight seeking approval of an extension of the purchase and sales agreement for Gemini Housing Corp. In the purchase of the Windsor School. I would like to introduce Joseph Tadino to speak.
Welcome back, Mr. Tadino.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. I had submitted last time we were here, you requested a formal written proposal. I did submit that. The current purchase and sale agreement indicated we could apply for an extension of 240 days if we show that the progress was being made. That extension would take us to August 27, 2026. However, in lieu of that, we're asking that the extension run until May 31, 2026. And then if we do get an extension, if we do get the financing, then a closing date would occur, an automatic closing date would occur April 30th of 2027. Those are the dates we.
Why so long? 26, you're getting the money, you're not closing until 27.
Mr. Sokolov can answer that question.
That's a fairly typical amount of time to close one of these types of transactions these days. It could certainly happen with a few months sooner, but we need to be able to give the funding agencies confidence that if it does take that long, that we have control over the property. So if you're interested in the details of what takes so long, it's a large part of is due diligence on behalf of the tax credit investors. A very complicated thing. It also has to do with the ALTA surveys and title and easements, and those things just take a lot of time in that industry.
I hate to say it, but you're not giving me a lot of confidence.
Well, it's just what happens. I've closed, 5 or 6 of these over the past few years, and it's the amount of time it takes, and we get projects done.
Where do you stand with the financing right now?
yeah.
Excuse me?
Where do you stand with the financing right now?
So the consolidated application is due on December 18th, and we're busy working on the application, which is also a complex procedure.
What happens if you don't get the funding?
Well, that would be up to you, whether and the organization itself, whether they want to continue to try. We have had projects funded in the first year that they've applied, and we've had projects go back 4 years in a row.
So if you apply December 18th, when do you think you'll get an answer on it?
Yep, that would be the May board meeting of Rhode Island Housing is when we would know that, and that's why we asked for the initial extension to the May 31st date.
So if you don't get the funding by May, what's next?
We evaluate the project and see what we can do to make it better and get a better application in, or, it's possible to abandon it, although we don't usually see that happen.
Yeah. The problem that I have, and I don't know about the rest of the council, is that if you don't get the funding, we still have a building sitting over there rotting away. Okay?
Yeah?
So I would suggest, and I don't know what the rest of the council wants to do, but I would give you an extension until June 1. And then we should know by then if you get the funding or not get the funding, and what you're going to do moving forward.
Right,
We would
so-
have you come back the first meeting in June and let us know.
So June 1, May 31, that's the same sort of date that we're asking for, but we can't put in, we need to be able to say, if you approve this, at the end of May, that we have control over the property to close it, otherwise they won't award the funds.
So if you were granted an extension until June 1st and then come back to the council, get your funding, leave it up to the council to decide whether or not they're going to give you an additional, if you get your funding,
Yeah, then we're
you're
good.
good, then you're good. If you don't get your funding, the council wants the ability to make a decision as to whether or not they're going to continue to proceed with this project.
So what we're asking for is just, if we do get the funding, it's automatic that we get the extension. We're not asking for anything. more.
Nothing's automatic. The only thing that's
So a player's
automatic is
option.
death and taxes. That's the only thing that's automatic here.
Very good, understood. So, but if we don't, it's pretty much an automatic rejection if we can't say we have control of the property long enough to close the transaction.
Okay.
You can grant them that, but that's a separate issue.
Right.
Well, how do you, if you don't close on the property, how do you have control?
Through the purchase and sale agreement that we're asking the extension of. That's adequate.
Can't you just close on the property? I guess I just asked the same question twice. When you get your funding, I think that's traditionally how these types of things work. I'm not sure why the title research and all those things would take a year after the funding is secured. Usually they're done simultaneously.
So what happens at the award in May is a preliminary commitment of the funds. They're not actually there and available for you.
Okay, so this May 31st, this May hearing of getting the funding is not actually committed to getting the funding. It's funding contingent on multiple things?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So even if you submit the application on the 18th and you get approved in May, you're not actually approved. There's contingencies on that funding that you need to meet, which takes that whole year, is what you're saying?
So the contingencies are just sort of the due diligence and process.
But why
So
isn't that done simultaneously?
So, the architecture has to happen. So right now, it's preliminary architecture here at the schematic design phase is what's required for an application. That's one of the things that takes some time. And then there's bidding as well and securing a tax credit investor.
What's the August 27th date?
That was the old extension. So if we got, I think our first extension was to January, and then there's a 240-day extension in the current PNS.
So that would bring, so under the current purchase and sales agreement, you would have until August 27th to obtain the financing and permitting, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, they're shortening it.
I think you have.
So
have
why
to
do you
grant
want, so why do you need, why are you saying you need an extension until May of, when you already have one till August?
The purchase and sale agreement indicates that the current financing expires January 1 of 2026. In order to extend it beyond there, we would have to show progress, and that if we were successful, we would get an additional 240-day extension. It's not automatic.
Well, by applying for the money on December 18th, by applying for the financing, aren't you showing progress?
Oh, there's been quite a bit of progress. We went to the
And you went to the planning board, right, I've seen that, right.
So,
Where are you at with the planning board? You have preliminary approval or master plan?
that's the plan, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was preliminary too.
Guys, honestly, I'm having a really hard time getting past this contingency funding situation, and anytime after May 31st, 2026, up until this April 30th, 2027, like that whole year period, at any point, that funding could just go away if all those contingencies, which according to you seem pretty extensive, are not met. So at the end of this, on April 29th, 2027, someone could say one of these contingencies aren't met, and then the property doesn't close. That's my issue that I'm seeing.
So none of the commitments that we get for the funding, either through Executive Office Housing or Rhode Island Housing, are contingent on doing anything that we're not saying that we're doing. They don't bring in anything, but, you have to have your finances approved and various things like that. They're not, I don't know if I'm explaining.
You mentioned like a due diligence period. What if the result of that due diligence comes out unfavorable? Then the funding could go away, correct?
That is correct.
Right, so that's what I'm saying, like, the funding
That's right.
is not actually secured by May 31st. It's just a promise, and then another promise for a year later, and then maybe funding by April of 2027. That's kind of where I'm getting bogged down here, because you're giving us kind of short dates that make it seem like the funding could be secured in a timely fashion, but it's really not actually in a timely fashion. It's like 2 years from now, year and a half.
That is correct.
Yeah, so
Just
I'm
quick,
not comfortable with that.
quick question. Are you putting in funding for the remediation required in that building? Is that part of the whole fund? You know, we have a significant asbestos remediation.
So I know there's a barrel in there that's labeled asbestos.
Oh, there's more asbestos in the barrel.
Okay, we
Are you
have,
aware of that?
I am not. There was a Phase 2 investigation done by an environmental company, and all their reports are in the hands of the general contractor to update their pricing.
So there is going to be
There's lead
abatement
as well.
required.
Oh, everything, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, there is significant abatement, it's going to affect your, huh? Because that's one of the reasons why it's not a school anymore. And we had, and other things we had to do, but I just want to make sure you're well aware of that, because it's going to increase your cost of your project.
Sure, so I don't recall seeing them flag other asbestos-containing materials.
Okay?
So-
I know the remediation has been done, but just want to make you aware.
What about I know last time you were here last month, there was some discussions about like the electric and the gas and stuff. Has that been worked out? Has that been?
Yes, I provided Attorney Tadino with our estimates of what it cost us last year, and I'm assuming it's going to be very similar this year, because there's, the building's, its use hasn't changed, so are you okay with that, Joe, or?
Yeah, I mean, it is in the proposal that, in consideration of the extension, we agreed to pay the electric and heating oil expenses.
Yeah.
So
Are those payments up to date thus far?
No, we haven't. We got to bill them. We just came, our last meeting, this came up.
Yeah, no,
so-
I know. I wasn't sure if the bill was
Yeah.
sent out yet.
No, but we did give them the estimates for the last year.
What's the estimates approximately?
About $10,000 in total for the year.
Okay, is that something that's able to be paid promptly?
Well,
Like if we-
we'll find the funding somehow, yeah.
That's not a yes.
That's,
There's 10,000 from last year, 10,000 from this year, 10,000 now if we're going to extend to April. Like, is that funding that you guys have that's realistic?
When are we going back? I mean, is this a going forward thing?
Your purchase and sales was signed last year, and you haven't paid, if I'm correct.
The heating oil was never part of the original purchase and sale agreement.
I'll have to check that again. I thought it was.
No.
I thought that was what was discussed last time we were here.
after the feasibility.
Okay.
Bottom of page 2 says that its carrying costs shall be defined as electricity and insurance.
If I may, I think the original idea was that the heat was going to be turned off, and then at some point there was a water leak, and the town decided to turn the heat back on.
The heat cannot be turned off in that building because it has an active fire alarm sprinkler system, so it cannot be turned off.
I think it had been turned off, I could be mistaken.
It was turned off mistakenly, and we made all the repairs, but from here until somebody purchases that building, the heat will be remaining on because it's required to have an active fire alarm system and sprinkler system.
Okay, so the carrying cost moving forward would include the oil, is that your understanding?
Correct.
Okay, so we're talking about $20,000 plus the backdated electricity and insurance. Is that something realistic that will be paid?
Well, what do you mean by backdated?
The unpaid electricity and insurance?
After the feasibility period expires.
Yeah.
I understand that starting July 1 forward.
The purchase and sales began,
It says after the expiration of the feasibility period.
which was when, do you know?
It's 120 days from the signing.
From the effective date of the agreement, which was September 4th, 2024.
So, I don't know, there's back pay regardless, correct? 120 days after September 2024 to now. I'm not a math person. 6 months or so.
Yeah, we'll pay it.
Is that real? I don't want to put you guys on the hook for something that's not realistic. Like, is that realistic for you to do?
Yeah,
Joe, is it realistic that you guys are going to move forward? Because if not, we can put the building up for sale again.
well,
I
we
mean,
wouldn't be doing,
I don't want to keep dragging this through the
we
mud.
wouldn't be, we've put out significant time and effort on this thing. It's not that, absolutely, we want this to go forward.
Okay, all right, I'm only asking.
I mean, Sokoloff and Associates has put in a lot of time and effort into this, and they wouldn't be doing this. They don't get paid unless this goes through.
Just asking.
I'm not comfortable as drafted with this proposed motion and automatic extensions based on what I mentioned previously about the funding really not being secured, like ever, until the closing date. It's a long
Well,
time.
the issue that you have, like Mr. Sokoloff just explained, is that they have to show they have some sort of control over the project. They're going to submit their application in December. The board's going to act on it by May.
Almost right.
And then if something happens with the funding on April 29th, then we're out 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, right?
Right.
Then we'll have to sell it again.
And I don't know, so like, I'll defer to everybody else, I guess, but to me, that seems like a long time
It's a
period.
long, drawn-out process.
Long drawn-out process, already we're over a year in, to potentially end up like where we were a year ago, with on the hook for building that we don't want with no movement on it.
I don't know what else we can do, Anthony.
Sell it to someone who's ready to develop it now. And not
You
in
have an
2 years.
existing agreement in place, too. You have an existing agreement. What they're proposing is an amendment to the agreement to shorten the time frame. You have an existing agreement right now which requires the council to grant them a 240-day extension.
Well, I don't think they need an extension to the agreement, because the agreement already provides for additional extensions upon approval by the seller. So that's already allowed. So the only question is not whether we're going to change the agreement, but whether we're going to grant an extension under the existing agreement. So I think if we were to grant any extensions, we would need to have dates certain in there. For example, they would have to obtain financing by a date certain, and then they'd have to obtain a permit. The permitting would have to be done by a date certain, and then the closing by a date certain. I think going to 27 is, as you said, Councilwoman, is pretty far in the future.
Can we put contingencies, like, on the contingencies? I don't know. That,
Look, the best thing to do at this point, if you have concerns, well, you have to submit your application by December 18th,
We have a meeting on the 16th.
and we're meeting on the 16th.
I will not be here on the 16th, just
Yeah.
for the record.
Right.
Can I add one thing? Not me personally, but my office has done over 40 of these, probably close to 50, and we have never not closed one that was approved for funding. I know of a couple of projects in Rhode Island housing over the past 10 years that that's occurred to. And of course, there's nothing certain, no certainty here, but it has never happened to us that a project that's been approved for funding is not closed.
What do you want to do?
It's a pleasure of the council.
Oh, do you want to?
I mean, right now, the only thing you can do is continue it to December 16th and take final action and have Joe and I work on the final language. I mean, he proposed some language. If the council wants different language in that agreement, you should discuss it tonight.
The PNS as it's written right now allows, or not allows, mandates us a 240-day extension.
Correct.
So if we did not act at all, there is an extension to August 27th.
Correct.
The issue is the control piece of it.
Correct.
All right, so why don't we continue this until December 16th? You and Anthony work on some language.
do that.
And come back with us on the 16th of December.
We can have an addendum in place to the agreement, so when the council votes on it,
Yeah, we can
it's
have a written
approved.
addendum
They
in
could
place.
actually vote on the language.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion on that. Yeah.
So what's the cost?
What's your name,
Dennis
sir?
Warzad, 141 Old County Road, Smithfield, Rhode Island, 02917.
17?
17, not 02, yeah, you know, don't go there.
Represent.
So anyway, what cost to the town is this gonna do by extending? What cost to the town?
There is none. You're going to pay it.
We need the housing. They're not gonna get the financing unless they have approval. What's the sense of dragging this on? Give them their approval, they're gonna get an extension anyway. We're dragging this, talking about dragging it on, what are you gonna do with it? It's a building sitting there. They're gonna pay the heat, they're gonna pay the electricity. What are we doing here? Let's kick, the guy just said 40 or 50 days, they haven't been denied. Why? They already have an agreement that they can extend it for 247 days, right?
We also have another buyer.
Oh,
That's why I asked the question.
okay, well, that's why I'm up here asking a question too. But I'm just saying, I mean, the record speaks for themselves, I believe, so.
It's just the issue
It's a long
of
time.
crapshoot with the money.
No, I totally understand that.
Yep.
All right.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion. Mike, you want to do it?
Motion to continue this matter until December 16th Town Council meeting.
Have a second? Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Under new business, consider discuss act upon authorizing the town engineer to enter into a contract with a master price agreement 584B with Beta Group of Lincoln, Rhode Island for green infrastructure improvements in Esmond Village in the amount not to exceed $340,000.
Good evening, council. Josh Jelly, town engineer. Yes, the last time I was up here, there was a few questions about the stormwater part of it, and I don't feel like I gave enough answers to that, and so I did supply some additional documentation for that. And so I hope that answered any questions in that regard. And outside of that, I just wanted to come up here for any questions you might have, and that's it.
Director Jelly, or Engineer Jelly, would you be able to just sort of like clarify the bike path piece of this versus the flood mitigation? I'm just unclear about how they, like, how the two intertwine in terms of what we're approving tonight.
Oh, no
Please.
problem at all.
Thank you.
And so this is like basically a two-part project. The first part was the linear path, which has already been underway That was approved before I came into office, when I came into the department, and that was also awarded to Beta Group. And so they're already working on that part of it. And so this part of it was
Excuse
released.
me, I can't hear him, sorry.
Hold on. I need to speak loud.
No, 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 it's, I just,
No, you're good, you're good.
no, it's not you.
And so, yeah, so this part is in conjunction with that. And so basically, Beta Group is also, we had a party of 6 on the scholarship committee with a 100-point system for voting, and they ranked the highest, and so they actually got the job for this one too. And so different department. And so they're gonna be working on the stormwater part to go along with the linear trail that they're already designing. And so that's what this is. So they're gonna design the path, and then they're gonna have to implement stormwater practices along with that.
So I guess my question is, by approving this, are we essentially approving the path?
And I'm sorry, I forgot, because I
No, that's
I
okay.
didn't answer your question fully there, because you
No
were asking
problem.
about the funding part of it. And so there's multiple aspects to the grant funding a part of this. And so the SNEP grant, the SNEP grant for, I think it was like 340 or whatever it was, that is strictly for the stormwater. Some of the other ones
Mm-hmm.
that are getting funding from RIDOT and such that I don't have on this paper, but I had on the last one, but I think it's like 700,000 for one thing, that's for construction, and so the linear path, as you were speaking, where the funding I listed on this one is strictly for the stormwater. So this part that you're approving tonight is not for the linear path. It's just
Okay,
for the-
nothing to do with the bike path?
Nothing with the linear
Okay.
path, it's just for the stormwater. And so basically, they're gonna be working with commercial owners, so like the old warehouse that's over there on Waterman Ave, they're gonna be working with like the Cumberland Farms owner, like, we're gonna try reducing some of the pervious area on the road, we're gonna try, and depending on what they do with the path, there might end up being some new additional crosswalks over there and stuff, some new greenscape. And so whatever the path ends up being, outlined as some of the possibilities in the extra piece I gave you, that's some of the stuff that would possibly go along with the path. So that way, like, the grading or the crown on the path would slope the water down and go into like bioswales or trees to vegetate to catch the water. And so, so it will be a part of it, but it won't be funded. This part won't be funding that at all.
So do you know that if the path would have to, our portion of the path would have to come before us for approval, or are they just doing it? Like, do you have any idea?
I would imagine that whatever the design comes up with, I'll end up presenting it to you, because
Okay.
whatever they have, it's gonna be through me and the town planner as well. And so, whatever I come with as a final result, at least right now, I would intend definitely to bring it to you guys for approval, because that's a big decision.
Okay.
Because I don't know if, because what some of the things they'll be looking at is there's the right of way, because there's some sections that have a good amount of breakdown lane and stuff like that, and some sections that don't, and so we don't know what exactly the path will be at, and so, but depending on what it ends up being, that's a big decision, so I would definitely bring it to you guys.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, bike path versus bike lane. This is a bike lane or a bike path?
Sorry, it's like a path, it's a lane, it's a path.
Right on the road?
So that's what I'm saying, I don't know what it'll be yet, because if we get cooperation with it depends on what we get cooperation with some of the commercial buildings and stuff that are there already, because if so, we might have it off the road. If not, we might have it more in the right of way with like a barrier, like for
Okay.
safety purposes and stuff like that. And so the exact path is unknown at this moment.
Okay, thank you for your information.
Yep, no problem.
So the SNEP grant, that's 340,000. That's what we're approving. It's all grant money.
It's all grant money, nothing funded. The only thing that's funded on any of this project, town-wise, is labor. Because we had to supply a match to the WRWC for our labor. So either me, the planning department, or DPW.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Item B, consider discuss act upon adopting a resolution authorizing submission of Rhode Island DEM Small Recreation Development Grant in the amount of $125,000 to design and construct the docking facility at Camp Shepherd, and this is our public meeting. Any questions? Any concerns?
I will give the overview on it real quick.
Yes.
So this, council members, this particular grant was submitted, it's called the Rhode Island DM Small Recreation Grant, and the target for the money is starting to build out the infrastructure at Camp Shepherd, You'll notice on my memo to the town council, the projects that we're looking to do is to upgrade the public fishing docks. What we have left there is in extremely poor condition and unsafe, so there's been a lot of use of the fishing area in Camp Shepherd. Some initial lighting, some security fencing, some areas that are actually a little bit dangerous for people to be in because of the fall off and height, and some of the trails, and also for securing. We're looking to put an electrical distribution shed and wiring up to initiate our power distribution and put in some security cameras. So that's that are the projects affiliated with the grant. And this particular grant is $125,000. The overall cost with the estimates is $167,000. And basically, there's a 25% match, which of the $125,000, which we cover with our additional costs that may be involved. And a recommended cost share would either be from unused reserve capital or impact fees. And obviously, it's all dependent upon whether we get the grant or not. So that's what the
Thank you.
small DEM grant is about.
There you go. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Do a second.
Second, and I would just like to, I notice our grant writer is here, so I'd like to just say thank you for this grant. I know there's another one on the agenda as well. Thank you.
Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. President, just what happened to the other dock that was removed?
They were damaged, unsafe.
Well, the one that was removed at a Camp Shepherd meeting, like, I think it was last year. You weren't part of that?
No.
The year before or something, I don't remember what
Yeah, I
it
don't
was,
know.
but,
All I know is there was some removed that were damaged and in bad shape. And what's left there is in pretty bad shape.
so there are docks there now that are
They
just in
weren't
poor
put in this
shape.
year because of their condition.
So one was removed and the other two stayed?
They weren't used this year, from what I understand.
They're floating docks, so they just took them out.
No, I understand, well, no, I know they took one dock out, because I was at that meeting, but I'm wondering,
No, when they took
Where
the
it
other
went.
ones out for the winter, they were in pretty bad shape, so I think.
so they're all out right now?
Yeah.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes, ayes have it. Item C, consider, discuss, act upon adopting a resolution authorizing submission to the Rhode Island DEM Lodge Recreation Development Grant in the amount of $500,000 to improve amenities at Deerfield Park.
So this one is submitted as what's called a Rhode Island DEM Lodge Recreation Grant, and it's for upgrades and replacing equipment and some other improvements to Deerfield Park. And under the listing on the memo, under projects, project number one is to remove the pickleball courts outside, that are embedded in the tennis courts, and provide them outside the tennis courts. Gene, Allen, and myself looked at a couple of different potential areas of doing it, one behind the concession stand and one right next to the existing tennis courts next to the senior center. The second item here is sitting benches on the walking trails, so they're more user-friendly for our senior population, to give them an opportunity to rest and actually use the trails, because there really isn't those opportunities at the moment. Some additional signage on the walking trail so people know exactly where they are in the event of an emergency, and they have to call 911 so we can locate them more easily. Item 4 is the replacement of the playground equipment. I know we had an issue in replacing some parts this past year. I know Ralph Farr has been looking at and kind of laid out what a replacement part would look like, so that was part of this, as well as adding some better fencing around it, because the fencing that's there, I'm a little concerned about if a child were to leave that area and walk out into the roadway. It just makes it a little bit more safer. The next thing is repair the basketball court surface as well as the tennis court surface, which are need in resurfacing, and any other upgrades that may be needed. I think the infrastructure as far as the, the netting may be, some of the poles may need to be upgraded, but the biggest thing is the surface of those at the moment. This particular grant maxes out at $500,000. Total project cost is $670. 25% of the project is $167,500. And again, this potentially, if we were to get the grant, could be our cost or our share could come from unused reserve funds, potential impact fees. And Lisa's actually here right now. I believe our labor costs contribute to some of these grants too, right? Yes. So our in-kind labor that our DPW does. And I think that was factored into one of the grants, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
So our labor cost, so our share is the 167, but our labor cost is included in that amount. So we might not have to actually put out that amount in cash. Is that what you're
Can
saying?
you answer that? If you would come up, Lisa, just to verify that?
Yeah, in-kind contribution.
In-kind contribution, correct.
Right.
Thank you.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Lisa Ann Doja. It does not, actually, what it itemizes is the cost of the pickleball courts, the park benches, signage, playground equipment, and basketball courts.
Did we do it? I think we did it on the Camp Shepherd because we had some in-kind labor that was put into it. I think it was different.
Right, but Deerfield Park, it includes the labor.
Okay, all right.
And this is a public meeting too, so does anybody else have any questions? Hearing none, I'll let the,
Yeah, I definitely have questions, Mr. President. So there's a discrepancy on the resolution where it states that there's a desire to install 4 new pickleball courts, but on the grant application, it states 8. So can
Yeah,
we
I
just
think that-
explain that
I
discrepancy?
think that's the information we gave Linda initially, and Gene and I looked at it and said, you know, if we could get 4 courts in that area to take the courts off of the tennis court, that's the discrepancy right there. So it's just the number changed, but we priced everything based upon 4.
The 425 for the pickleball course, does that include the resurfacing of the tennis courts?
That's correct, yes.
So that is within that block, and then the basketball court
We had a-
resurfacing is separate?
Correct. Gene had a separate number for that. We did an estimate on the, if we were to move the pickleball courts to repair the area and redo the tennis courts.
The basketball courts cost was $42,500. This is a great project at Deerfield to be submitting. It's multi-generational, it's near the senior center. It's a win-win with the youth and the seniors to have increased outdoor recreation.
I think the biggest question that I have is, why are we adding more pickleball courts when we already have them? I don't, that's not a question for you really, but
All right, so my vision of this, talking to Gene and a recreation director, is to make all of our recreation activities that we offer in town available in Deerfield Park. So that's one of the reasons for that. So to add, people already use the tennis court for pickleball, and I know that pickleball people would prefer not to use the tennis court. So that's one of the reasons. The second reason is that we've been expanding the services of human services in the senior center. So we've added the putting golf at the senior center. And now if we put some pickleball courts near the senior center, they can utilize that. And it's also my thought with the trails, making it more convenient for them to use that. So we make it more friendly for the 55 and over community. I mean, we have several basketball courts, baseball fields. We have multiple tennis courts around town. It's just to make it really, I'm looking at the seniors, because they tend to be the people using it, but for any age group, to be able to utilize them as well.
yeah, I just, so to be clear, are we, from what you just said, you'd like to have all the recreation at Deerfield, are we looking to move the Willow Fields
I think
courts?
that question is going to have to be answered in the future. Right now, we have an agreement with the neighbors and the pickleball players. We're working with a company that does the sound barrier stuff to determine if we can get the level down where we need to. And if we do that and everybody's happy with it, I don't see a problem. If it's totally up to the people who live in that neighborhood, and I'm hoping we can, meet the needs of the pickleball players and isolate the noise. However, they have concerns, and I get it, and hopefully we're going to reach that. But we have discussed that as a possibility. If we end up in a situation that just can't work out, that would be our only other option, would be to move
So
to the Deerfield Park.
So as it stands right now, there is no plan to move them?
No.
And so I'm not sure what happened with that last neighborhood meeting, between like the few people that went there, but, so they would be under the expectation that we're still working on this and that there's no definite,
Right,
agreement.
and-
I don't know if there was any agreement made, I wasn't
There
there.
wasn't an
but-
agreement. There was.
There was?
Well, there
What was
was
the
one that we
agreement?
had to get money, and if we.
No, there was an agreement between the pickleball people and
Yeah,
the neighbors to go
right.
down the.
Right, determine how, right, with the hours and Saturday, Sunday hours, and how many courts will be open. So that's what we did.
I think what Councilwoman is asking you is, did you promise that you would move the courts to
No,
Deerfield
we
Park?
didn't promise it. We said we would look at doing that if we can't come up with, we did tell them we would look at that possibility if we can't come up with agreement between the neighbors and the pickleball players moving forward. But we got them through the fall, and if everybody cooperates in the spring and everything's set up and everybody's happy, there's no need. But if they push the issue, then that's a decision the council's going to have to make.
Right, and I just want to make sure and make it clear that agreeing to apply for this grant does not mean that we're agreeing that the pickleball courts should be removed, because, should be
nobody-
moved. Especially since we have no idea what the cost of that would be. There would be.
The cost
There would be a cost in.
To move them?
Well, I mean,
No, you would just convert them over to something else.
yeah, but there'd be a cost involved in that.
Convert them back
Yeah.
over to tennis court.
You would make tennis court, basketball court, and a playground.
I don't think that would be as easy as people think, but.
Well, I understand that, but we're trying to work with the neighbors and trying to work this thing out.
Because we already spent $500,000 over there.
No, we spent $430,000, yeah, I know that. But that, you don't take everything out and move it. It would just be the inner things. But that's discussion that's on the table, and we're both frank with each other, that if they're not happy, they're gonna come yelling about it, the neighbors. And we totally understand, and we said if we can come up with a compromise and it could be done, then it's certainly a consideration to move them out of there if it's feasible to do it.
So before any decision was made on that, it would come before the council.
Yes.
My other question was the source of the funds, capital reserve, impact fees. How does this impact those funds? Are we using up, a substantial amount of those? How much money do we have
Well,
in those funds?
right now, we have impact fees, I'm not sure what came out this year, but there's still like, even with the 500 coming out, there's probably 1.2 to 1.3 million in that account, even after the 500,000 was taken out, because we were at 1.7 million. I know we've brought in more money.
And capital reserve funds?
It depends at the end of the year. Yeah. I mean, we have 120 plus 100 was put in, so that there's at least $220,000 in the capital fund. We started putting more money in that. So 220.
I can share with you, the increase in pickleball courts, out of all the municipalities, I mean, Smithfield, it's a very popular sport. You have a lot of leagues. You have a youth league, you have a women's league. It's really grown in popularity, and I think it's a wonderful response to your constituents who really enjoy it. You shared with me, Councilman, that you actually play pickleball, and so does your wife.
Right.
I think it's just.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm
the
a
addition.
big fan of it. I just want to make sure that, we're doing things in a cost-effective manner because, we not only represent pickleball players, we represent all the people of the town, and we have to deliver the best value for the taxpayers at all times.
Absolutely.
Ms. Indoja, I just had a question in terms of flexibility, but the way the grant is written, it seems very specific in terms of what the scope of work is. So my question is, is there flexibility, like, for instance, if we decide we don't want to move forward with pickleball courts, can we use the money for something else? To me, and I did reach out to somebody who often writes and deals with grants, and I'm under the understanding that because it's so specific, there's not a lot of flexibility. Am I wrong or am I right? Where do you stand on that?
When you file a grant, it has to be shovel-ready, and that's how you build confidence in getting it funded. With some grants, you can repurpose it. There is that ability, but you would have to go to DEM, and you'd have to work with them.
So it's not definite that we could repurpose it. It's in the realm of possibility, even though, is that what you're saying? I'm
Yeah,
not
the
clear.
grant specifically was for outdoor recreation activity.
Right,
So it would
exactly.
have to be something related to it, but you can't go to something that would be like an amphitheater. So when you
That's not
submit a grant,
recreation.
it's specific.
Right. So that was my
The
concern.
project description is specific.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not against recreational facilities by any means. I play tennis. But it just concerns me that we're adding more pickleball courts with, considering all the other costs we have on our plate right now as a town. So I know it's a grant, it's free money, but I mean, is it, I don't know. So again, I'm not against it. It's just it's a little hairy for me.
Sure.
And this has nothing to do with really you. I mean, you're directed to do this. As far as I'm,
Generating new revenue for the town. And when you actually file a grant, it has to be specific, because you
Yeah, I get it.
can't just have a generalization that I'd like to do increased outdoor recreation without a game plan. For example, Diamond Hill actually submitted a pump track that got funded 2 years ago. They're doing an addition to it now. So you just build upon it. So whatever the community needs are, I work very closely with Chief Seltzer. We develop the priorities.
Yeah, I don't understand why there's a concern with the pickleball court when the pickleball players were more than happy to hear that we might be adding more. And the senior, it fits right into what we're trying to build with the seniors over there and give them more activities, and they can go into senior center, change, go out, play pickleball, do whatever they want. And people are going to be happy about it. So,
You got a new kitchen.
and you got a new kitchen.
And DEM likes to see multi-generational, so you have the youth and you have the seniors.
I get it. I'm just concerned about if it gets moved and the cost, just like Councilman Ionati said. So that's really,
Well, if it gets moved and there's the cost, I can always look for additional funding.
well, it's not guaranteed. So
Nothing guaranteed. That's
That's correct.
That's it.
that is
I'll
absolutely
entertain a
correct.
motion.
Motion to approve. Thank you again, Lisa.
Second.
Any more
I mean,
discussion?
So is there flexibility or not with this grant in terms of pickleball courts? I'm just unclear on
Well,
that.
it
That's all I
depends
want to
on,
know.
it depends on what the alternative that's being proposed. I can't say definitely.
Any other recreation at Deerfield, let's just say, or Camp Shepherd? I don't know, do you want to?
Well,
No,
if you-
it's site-specific,
if you-
it's site-specific.
If-
Oh, okay, so it has to
This
be
is site-specific,
Yeah.
specific. Let's say, for example, you wanted to put more basketball courts instead of pickleball courts. You couldn't do that, right?
You can always ask DM and try to work very closely with them to repurpose it.
You'd ask who, DEM?
Yes, because they're the funding
Okay.
source.
You've
So
had
that-
to-
so there'd be somebody running a contact for the projects that you could ask?
Yeah, it would be the director of planning
Right.
that you could ask if it could be repurposed.
Have you had success with that in the past? Has anyone had to do that, or any municipality has to?
There was one client who didn't even have the discussion, just forfeited the funding, which
Oh, okay.
took me by surprise,
Oh,
because you could have done passive recreation with
okay.
trails and landscaping and benches and ADA picnic tables. So it really just depends on the needs of
I think the answer is no. I mean, the proper answer is no. Chances are you can't change it.
That's how you get the money, is by drafting
Right.
a very specific, goal-oriented grant. It gives you a higher chances of getting that funding, correct?
That's how you build success in it,
Right.
yes.
Like, no one's gonna give you money if you just like kind of willy-nilly say you wanna do maybe tennis courts, maybe pickleball, right?
Right, it has to be specific, yes. That's how you build confidence in them funding it.
No, I understand. I know that's okay. I'm not gonna, my question is answered, so appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, there's a need there based upon usage and your DPW director, your recreation director, and your town manager are recommending this based upon the community needs. So we didn't do this just for the sake of doing a pickleball court. So I want you to understand that this is part of, I gave you the vision for that park to allow us to offer everything we have to offer in this town on a smaller scale. And then obviously we have more baseball fields, basketball courts and everything else, but there's one-stop shop. And I think it's going to be a big advantage for the seniors because they seem to be really into it. Some of them I've talked to are in their 80s and still playing. So I think it'll be really nice if we get the money.
Absolutely. And DM wants to see more outdoor recreation. Live healthier, live longer.
Thank you, Lisa. Anyone from the public like to speak on this? Hearing none, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it.
Thank you. Have a nice
Item
evening.
D, consider discuss act approving tax abatements in the amount of $3,516.28.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item E, discussion whether the town council should at one of their regularly scheduled monthly meetings to provide a report of status of all grant applications. So,
I asked for this item to be on the agenda, Mr. President, so just, it's pretty straightforward. It's just, I think it would be beneficial to the council if we were regularly updated on the
we're
activity
gonna-
for grants.
I spoke to Mike, we're going to do a workshop.
Okay, well, I'm just explaining. Well, that's not the workshop. That's not what I'm talking about here. A workshop is good, but, I was just thinking that we could have at one of our regularly scheduled meetings, monthly meetings, just a report, and it doesn't have to be a thesis or anything, just standard information as far as the status of all current grants. I understand that we do grants through our grant writer, and then we also do some different ones through town employees, such as the one Melissa just did. So, there could be two sort of, as long as it's distinguished between the two, I don't care. But, just to know the status of each one, because I know it rapidly changes, and adding it to an agenda would allow the public to be informed as well. And I'd like to see all the applications, just to learn how these things get done. And I mean, it's a good learning experience, and it's good for transparency as well. And just lastly, I'll leave you with this. I think it would be good to include a section on the town website that would show what we're doing with grants, like awarded ones and like what we've applied for or whatever, just like make a section somewhere, I don't know. So that way people can check it out if they wish, or that was just a thought.
Mr. President.
Yep.
So, yeah, so one of the things I did when I was with the fire department is I kept track of all our assistance of firefighters grants, and I had put down when we received them, the type of grant, its period of performance, and then its status, so whether it was still open, closed, or whatever. So what I think may be beneficial is we do that with all of our grants, so we keep it as a living document. Lisa I talked to her yesterday, and she sent me what she's working on, and I got the fire ones, and there's some other miscellaneous ones, like you said. But if we kept them there continuously, even when they closed out, and had a front page indicating a new one went in, and always make that at the top, and then just make it a living document, so when it changes, the planning department can use it, the council can use it, and finance needs it.
Yeah.
So it seemed it helped me keep track of them at the fire department, so I was going to talk with Greg and take what Lisa had, and we'll put a sample together and let you guys look at it, and we'll just keep it up to date. And then if you want to have a review at one of the council meetings, we can put it on the agenda to review the grant package, or our outstanding grants. So if that's something you think you'd like to do, I think it would help all of us keep track of them. And it
That's
could
a
be
great idea.
It can be put on the website, too.
It's a great idea. So we can either put it on the agenda and the website, we can put it on the website. As long as we're getting a monthly report of activity, we can get it in an email.
This would be updated continuously.
Yeah, so if we added a
Right,
grant in
exactly.
there, an applicant, like Melissa did that small beautification
Exactly,
grant,
exactly,
it'd be
yeah.
in there and everybody would be updated. And then when awarded in a date and then a period of performance.
Yeah, you
And when
don't
it
have-
closes too. so we know it's done.
But I also would like to do the workshop with the grant writer, because I think it's important for us to know what the process is of obtaining a grant, because I think a lot of us, are unfamiliar with that. And also, keeping up to date on what grants are available lets us respond to inquiries from residents who, are asking us what's going on with a particular project, a particular field, a particular site, and it'd be nice if we could tell them, well, we have a grant coming we've applied for a grant to correct some issue that the town faces.
And to know, for the grant writer to know what the entire council's priorities are as well.
Okay, public comment. Anyone from the public?
Mr. President, very briefly, I just wanted to share my thanks to our Senate Whip, Tokoyan, as well as our Representative Constantino and Representative Santucci for paving and advocating for the paving of the 44 Esmond Street corridor. It's been talked about for probably over a year now. It's something that needed to be done desperately. I know the people that live in that area appreciate it, so I just wanted to publicly thank our Senate and House delegation.
Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll see you at the parade. Motion to adjourn.
Second.